Hello, beautiful mamas. As a working mom, sometimes I can really feel scattered, unorganized, or simply just rushing from one thing to another and all over the place. Finding time for myself and finding my sanity can almost feel like an impossible dream. Can you relate? Well, this is why I have created my free Mama's Guide to Creating Balance and Harmony as my gift to you. This guide contains my top 10 tips to creating balance and harmony in your life, as well as 3 beautiful trackers to help you get onto your journey in a fun and simple way. I have found by incorporating daily self-care routines and practices in my life for as little as 5 minutes a day, I am feeling more grounded, centered, and calm. By me tapping into my best version through these practices, I am also a better mom, a better partner, and a better colleague. Well, really, just a better human being in all the ways. So, if this sounds like something that you would like to explore, click on the link in the show notes below and download your free guide today. We were all born with the innate power of knowing and wisdom within us. The challenge for many of us is that we were taught to seek answers externally instead of searching from within. And this is the reason why so many of us find ourselves going around in circles, searching for new ways, but could never find the way. The womanly way. It's not the way. It's not my way. But it is a pathway to support all of us returning back to self, reconnect with our inner wisdom through loving ourselves, knowing ourselves, and reconnecting with ourselves.
Tell me and be honest. Tell me should I've known.
So we can start to find our own way as modern day women. Are you interested? Well, sit back, relax, and welcome to this amazing journey. Hello, and Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Womanly Way podcast. I am your host, Lala Angela Wang. 2024, we are here. So this would have been the first episode recorded in 2024. We did have some pre-recorded podcast in the past 2 weeks while everyone's on holidays, enjoying the festive season. Now, for me personally, work meaning my corporate job has actually started on the 3rd, but I decided this year I'm going to take an extra week and a half to really set up my year. And I'm going to explain a little bit of why, based on my numerology this year. I just thought, you know what, it's probably quite important for me to set it up properly this year. Plus also there's just like household errands to run and things that I don't normally get to do as a mum these days, kind of like my real holiday in between drop off and pick up from daycare to have some of me time as well, just to get myself grounded and organized this year. Now, I'm actually kind of nervous coming into this podcast as well because numerology has been something that I dabbled on the side, kind of something that I geek out every year for myself and sometimes for my clients. But I rarely speak out about numerology in public, right? And I've decided this year I do want to share more of my, spiritual side, my geekiness in terms of all things woo-woo and spirituality. So here I am. Now, if you're not familiar with numerology, I'm just going to give you a little bit of high-level intro in terms of numerology. Essentially, every year there's a number works around the year. Each number has an energy around it. And 2024 is the 8th year. You simply add up all the digits, all the numbers of the year. So 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4 is 8. So hence, this year is a number 8 year. Okay. On top of that, we all have our personal years, which is the year, so the number of the year, so 8, plus your birthday date of the year. So my birthday is on the 23rd of March, and this year is the 8th year, so 8 plus 3 plus 2 plus 3. So essentially, mine is a 7 year, because 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 plus 3 is 8. Also a double 8 year as well. Right, so 8 plus 8 is 16, 16 plus 1 is 7. So for me, this year, there's going to be a lot of 8 energy. There's going to be the 7 energy for me as well, in terms of how the year is going to unfold for me. And then obviously, I generally then look at the astrology side of things, and then the general theme in the sky as well. You may ask, so there's so many numbers, which one do I focus on? So the year, the number, the universal year, which is the 8 number, is like an overarching, if you imagine, it's like the big picture background. It's like your landscape in the background. I love to use house or construction and analogies, right? Your house, like your actual house that you live in, is the main focus. And then you've got this background and landscape. Let's just imagine that we're living on a farm. So if you imagine your personal year number is the house, and the universal number, which is the number of that you add up all the digits, all the numbers of the year, which is 8 this year, is the background. When you take a photo of your house, that's going to be the thing that's in focus, which is your personal number, the theme of your personal number. And then you will have the universal number in the background. Okay. I'm going to start, I guess, by talking about the universal number 8, being Chinese. 8 is like lucky as shit, right? It's like the luckiest number that, you know, that all Chinese people love. And then the next one is 6. 8 essentially means, so in Cantonese, 8 sounds like fa, which is abundance, multiplyable abundance. And in Cantonese, it's fat. 8 is, it's kind of how my brain's going through a bit of a brain fog, going through different languages. So essentially, either in Mandarin or Cantonese, Mandarin is ba, which also sounds similar to fa, which is a plentiful abundance, and also multipliable abundance. Same thing with Cantonese, ba, fa. So 8 and plentiful abundance as well. Just imagine like fat is like, and fa is like, it grows. When you imagine the bread dough, once it started to do its chemical reaction, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's how we want our money and wealth, right? It gets bigger, 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 and bigger. Okay. So there is that energy numerologically in the number 8. Number 8 is also kind of like the continuum symbol. I can't remember what it's called. It's not. So it means balance, but it also means, everything in harmony as well. Seeking equilibrium, right? It's that continual loop thing. But a lot of people think on the 8th year, you simply just sit. Actually, it doesn't. 8 is a harvesting year. And to be honest, if you only just started this year thinking you're going to make money and start a business, it actually doesn't work like that. The 8 energy is accumulation of all of the years before it. Essentially, in a 4-year, you start setting your foundations, you work towards it, I think in a sense, from the 4th year to the 7th year, there is a lot of hard work. There's a lot of inner work. There's a lot of sort of figuring out what your foundation, setting your foundation, getting your family organized, all that sort of things. And essentially an 8 year is like, if you build your foundation, if you did the work from the previous years, then you're going to receive the rewards. But also, the number 8 year is also about natural order, aligning yourself with your highest purpose. So if you're going down a track that is only about making money, guess what? You're not going to be very abundant in the 8 year because you're going against natural order and you're going against your highest purpose. So basically this year, the background theme would be if you have followed your purpose, if you have worked on yourself, you have to worked on building a firm foundation in the past few years, then yes, if you put in the hard work this year as well, you're going to reap the rewards. It may not be an easy path, but you will receive rewards from the universe, basically. By the way, it's also a karmic year as well because it's all about giving and receiving, right? Karmic is also about giving and receiving. So it's really, again, going back to that principle of finding harmony, finding balance in your life with all things in a natural sense, in nature, and also following the universal laws. On top of that, we're going to talk about this closer to Chinese New Year. It's also the wood dragon year. So essentially there's a lot of sense of abundance around this year. But I'm also, just by feeling into this year, I think there's also going to be a lot of universal truth. That the dragon is a messenger from above, right? There's going to be a lot of messages from above, and it's, how do I say this? It's a bit like, in a sense, if we go against the law of nature, my tongue's a bit twisted today. Maybe it's because it's the first episode. If we go against the laws of nature, if we go against natural rhythms, if we go against what the universe has planned for us and purely doing things from a place of negative emotion, from a place of greed, from a place just want to make money, you're going to be bumping into a lot of roadblocks. But also feel this is the year that the universe is going to deliver its truth. So we're going to see truth coming out. Justice coming out. Oh my God, this is the word I've been looking for all day. I literally, the word justice has been on the tip of my tongue all morning. I'm just like, what's that word? What's that J word? What's that J word? There we go. Justice. I have to write it down now so I don't forget. So I feel like this is a year that justice will be delivered from the natural rhythm perspective. So this is also a very good year if you wanted to return your body, your routine into natural rhythms. For example, if you are a female and if you want to get your monthly cycles in tuned, this is the year. If you are like me, like I'm going to follow the natural rhythm of seasons, this is the year. Okay, so this is a great year to get into that. Okay, now that we've established what the 8 year is, and like I said, I'll talk about more about the Chinese zodiacs and how it affects us more towards Chinese New Year, like this time, or it's early February, so probably be either talking about it in early February or end of the month. Okay, so I'm going to go over all of the personal year numbers and how it's likely to pan out for you. I'm going to start with 1. So if you're in a 1 year, so if you add up the year 2024 with your birthday and birth month, like I said, mine is the 23rd of March this year, or it's every year. So I do 2 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2024, which is 8. That gives me another 8. 8 plus 8 is 16. 6 plus 1 is 7. Okay, so my personal year is 7 years. So if once you've done the exercise and your personal year comes out to be 1, then 1 is all about you. Just think 1, whenever we have a 1 year, it's really about self-love. It's all about treating yourself. And it's the year that you have full permission to be selfish, right? It's almost like, so 9 years are generally tough, quite tough. It's all about endings. 1 is about new beginning, but it's also about, if you just think about the life of a child, when they were first born, everything evolves around them, right? So in a 1 year, that's exactly what it is. Everything evolves around you. So if you just focus on self-love this year, and if you focus on sharing your journey, sharing who you are, sharing your energy with the world, then you're likely to be prosperous in that 8-year energy. Does it make sense? So it's about all that hard work that you have put in the past few years coming into fruition. But also if you just focus on sharing your story, sharing who you are, and be you authentically. It's all about you. The spotlight is on you. So all you needed to be is just focusing on your number 1. Right? And that's where you will reap rewards. Okay? 2 is completely different than 1, right? 2 is about teamwork, about corporations. It's also about, it could sometimes create frictions because it's about finding that balance between the 2, right? Finding the harmony and disharmony and finding your place in this world. And I quite often look at numerology as like, when you grow up, you first learn about you, then you learn about how you interact with others. So 2 years for me generally is about, how do I interact with others? Relationships, right? How does that work? I actually know 2 quite well because my personal number, my birth, the year that I was born, if I add up the year that's born with my birthday, I'm actually a 2. So a lot of what, I don't want to use the word struggle, but you're going to find this year some of the challenge might be to do with relationships, with your intimate relationships, with partnership, with working with others. And if you put in the work, so mentioning the theme of this year is all about putting in the work, following the universal orders, right? Doing what is the best for the environment, knowing that you've worked on yourself last year, and now it's about using what you have learned in the 1 year to enhance your relationships in the 2 year. And really establishing your place in the different groups that you are in. So working with people is where you're going to make money, but also making sure that you're creating thriving communities, right? Not creating conflict. If you create conflict, it's likely you won't be very abundant this year. Now, 3 is all about creativity. I actually personally love the number 3 and 3 years because it's about creation, right? You get to be creative and express your creative, express yourself. It's more like it. Express yourself in a creative way, but tapping into your creativity. You could also have opportunities to touch into spiritual enlightenment, because this is the year when we start to connect, right? Because not like this, but for me, a 3 year is really linked to our sacral chakra. If you're a woman, that's where our creative center is. So really spent this year connecting to your sexuality, sensuality, connecting to your creative endeavors, or even do chakra meditations on your sacral chakra. What you also find is if you had challenges last year with people, this year is going to be a more harmonious year for you. Right? If you find you start to come up with creative ideas to deal with people, right? Still to find creative way to solving problem. It's a lot more playful this year. So it's really about tapping into your inner resources. Okay. And what I find interesting is as well, generally in numerology, I kind of divvy up the even and odd number. And if you look at it, it's like the even numbers are the year where we work with others externally. And then the odd numbers are years where we kind of have to go within and trust our inner intuitions and use our resources from within. A 3 year is about using your creativity from within. A 1 year is really, to me, linked to your base chakra, connecting you to who you are, the foundations of you, right? So tap into your creativity, and this is the year how you're going to make money. If you tap into your creativity, that is how you're going to make money. And I would probably recommend out of all the numbers, if you have a personal year number of 3, this is probably the only number that can start some sort of new project in terms of creating wealth. But it's not something completely from left field though. It's something you have kind of been wanting to tap into prior, but wasn't quite sure. This year is the year if you can tap into it creatively. Okay, 4 is another lovely year that I love. It's all about foundation. If you think about shapes, squares are quite rigid, but squares also forms cubes, which is kind of like a foundation, right? So a 4-year, yes, could be kind of rigid, but also a 4-year is when you build your foundation for your future. We talk about an 8-year is about really harvesting the fruit that you have started planting. And so if you've got a 4-year, this is the year that you start planting your seeds, making sure your soil is fertilized, just making sure you set the foundation for this year. Okay. This is actually Scott's 4-year. So I've done a bit of researching around 4, and 4 is also one of my favorite number when it comes to numerology, but also secret geometry. So this year you have to pay attention to your family life, your reputation, for dependability to your business associates. I might just need to be careful. Again, remember how we said the even numbers are about external. So you need to pay attention to people that you're working in groups with and whether they are beneficial to your foundation, or it might be the year also you look at letting things go that no longer serves you. Right? It's a great year to do long-term plans and really looking at to reassess where you want to be in the long run and start setting those boundaries and foundations. So 4 to me is just like, because I'm a construction person. To me, it's like when you first set your house foundation, you dig the ground, you clear all the things that you don't need, you put them into the dump, right? And then you start drilling the foundations or building the 4 walls or the 4 corners of your house. I know not all houses are square, right? But you start to build the corners of your house, you define your boundaries, and you're making sure the foundation system is the right one, the right depth, it goes deep enough, it's going to hold up everything. And that's exactly what a 4-year is. It's about setting your foundation, but it's also about setting your boundaries. Have clear boundaries, clear direction, knowing where you're going to, so then you can have the right foundation for it. It's vitally important. Okay? So this year for you may not feel as abundant, but just know that as long as you are reassessing, as long as you're connecting with the universe about where you're meant to be, where you desire to be, and set those clear boundaries and foundations, that's where you will prosper. It might even be around really looking at your finances with a fine-tooth comb and really eliminate the things that no longer serve, or maybe looking at expenses that you no longer need. Maybe looking at some of your subscriptions that might be worth canceling. It's about the details. It's about discipline. For some people, it might be a bit boring. If you thrive in a 3-year, you're creative, a 4-year might seem a bit mundane. But 4-year is really all about the mundane stuff, right? Now, a 5-year, to me, it's like 4 is fine. We set our foundations. 5, 6, or 7, to me, it's like an uphill battle, almost like, not quite 90 degrees, but a really steep hill from 5, 6 to 7. And that's what I have been experiencing for the past 2 years. So I do feel like a bit of a uphill battle, and I'm hoping that after this year, when I step into my 8-year, it's going to be a little bit easier for me. So a 5 year is all about change. You may find your life circumstance change, people around you change. Remember this, the boundaries that you set in a 4-year? Well, 5 years is when it happens. So, and that's why it's really important to understand what is it that you're setting a foundation for. Right? There are opportunities if you keep your eyes open in a 5-year, because it's all about change. And if you've done your work in the 4-year, in the 5-year, you will see positive opportunity coming your way. But if you have been wishy-washy in a 4-year, my recommendation is this year, especially this month, you want to make sure you go back and revisit your boundaries, your foundations, you've got long-term goals, because that will set your tone for this year, right? Because if you're wishy-washy, you're not going to get the opportunities that you want. It's also a year you could potentially see some traveling, new opportunities, new horizons. And it's highly likely the new opportunities are where you're going to make money. But these are not like you dream up an opportunity. That the opportunity will come, the change will come, the people will come. Your job is to keep your ears and eyes open. For me, this was not last year, but the year before. There were so many changes, right? George was born, there was motherhood, we moved house, job circumstances obviously changed. There was a whole lot of change. So it can feel like you're in a constant cyclone or washing machine or dryer, whatever that tumbles, right? You're constantly in this tumble and you just don't know how things are going to end up, and everything might seem like a blur. And this is why you need to always remember your true north. Because as long as you continually to remember to connect to your purpose, connecting back to your true north, then this whole tumbling isn't going to be as bad as it seems. It's like you always have your compass. But be excited though. If you stay in a state of curiosity and excitement and just be curious about what's coming up and keeping your eyes and ears wide open, be open to receive. To me, this is an exciting year, considering, the universal energy. It's actually a very exciting year, because whatever new opportunity comes your way could be abundantful. Okay, now a 6th year, again, not really my favorite year. It's really about responsibilities. There's a lot of outward. Remember I said even numbers are all about outwardly. So it's a lot of like business responsibilities, family responsibilities. It's about looking after others. It's about getting your family unit firm, and it's about looking after the family. Right? If you look at 4, it's about setting your personal overarching goals and boundaries and foundations. 5 is about receiving all those new resources and newness that's coming in to take you to the goals that you set in the 4-year. 6 is about the next level of doing your foundational work. It's about getting the family in order, getting the business in order, getting, all your vehicles, your communities, and the people that are going to support you in order on top of the foundations that you built on the 4th year. So then on the 8th year, you can thrive and prosper. But it's also a year of conflict. It's a year of kind of like, when you have 2 plates that meet, you kind of have a shuffle and kind of, somewhat grind through so both surfaces are smooth and then there's no more conflict. But for me, coming out of a 6-year, it's a lot of kind of trying to grind here and grind there and smooth out all the rough edges. Especially for me, I think, classic example, I was promoted in the 5-year. I became a mum in the 5-year. And then the 6-year is really, okay, now we've got all these new things. Let's look at what structure best suits us. Let's look at what format best suits us. Let's look at, how do we want our family unit to run so it suits everyone's schedule? How do we want our finances to run so it suits everyone's schedule? So it works best for our family, our unique energy, our unique union. And how will my job work around all of this? So it's about obligations. It's about responsibilities. It's also about your community, a bigger picture. And this year, a lot of focus will be on your family, right? You may, like I said, it's that smoothing things out. You may find there's a lot more family conflict. Scott and I certainly have a lot more conflict within our family trying to work out what best worked. I don't want to use the word conflict. It's more like negotiations, right? Things that happen that we have to actually navigate through as new parents, as mum and dads, as full-time working individuals. So for you this year, really, it's about family wealth. If you're in the 6th year, I believe it's all about creating, how do I create harmony? How do I serve others? And that will create the wealth for you. So the wealth may not come in from your own things that you do, but from an overall family sense, it's about family wealth. It's about the wealth of a community, right? So keep track of your partner's money. It might be coming in from that way. But this is also a year to be mindful of your own personal health, because sometimes we could give so much outwardly, we'll forget to replenish our own love tank. Now, a 7-year. A lot of people say, a 7-year is a year where you get to relax a little bit, where, you get to do nothing, you just look after yourself. Actually, a 7-year is all about the inner work. A 7-year is, to me, working on all your inner shit, especially prepping you for 8 years. So any worthiness and deserving type negative emotions, negative associations, you want to clear those this year. There's going to be a lot of inner searching, so you're gonna get a lot of time alone. Compared to a 6-year, it's about serving yourself. A 6 years about serving others, a 7 years about serving yourself, right? And for me, it's if your tank is full, then that's where you're going to receive abundance. But also, if you can share your stories about how you overcome those challenges, that's where the money's going to come in for you. So it's not a year to just relax and, let your guts hang out, that type of things. It's really a year about working on your inner planes. Like for me this year, after my birthday, I'll be stepping into the 6th house, which is really all about health and career. And in the 7-year, it's kind of fitting, right? For me, my focus this year is really getting my health in order, looking at not just from a physical perspective, but mind, body, spirit, making sure that all aspects of me are healthy. So that involves a lot of inner work. It's not sitting around and do nothing. It's actually doing the work. Especially if you want to have a great year next year when you step into your personal 8-year, right? Okay. Now, if your personal year is also an 8, so it's a double 8, yes, you're going to be making some big monies this year. But mind you though, only if you've done the work. And if you haven't, I would suggest for the first quarter of this year to really double down on doing the inner work, really setting clear goals and ambitions and just making sure that you have a system in place, making sure you've got your routines in place, you've got your, maybe it's your daily practices, maybe it's double downing on your areas of expertise, and make sure that you utilize the abundance energy in the air beautifully this year. Now, a 9 years all about endings. It's the end of the cycle, you're getting ready for a new beginning. So you're going to be getting rid of a lot of stuff that no longer serve. It could be relationships, it could be things, it could be, jobs, business. So it's about reassessing what's important to you. And through that reassessment, that's where you're going to get the freedom. And from that freedom, that's where you're going to receive your abundance from this year. So that's it. That's the overall theme of 2024 from a numerology perspective. And then also, like I said, we've gone down the path of your personal year number this year for you. Obviously, with the time being, I can't go into a lot more detail, and it is quite general because we're really generalizing the whole population into 9 numbers, right? So if you're interested, I would recommend that you go and do a bit more research, but also look into where you're placed astrologically with these information, or what I love to look at is where I am placed with my human design and also with my gene key as well. This year, it's all linked to horoscopes and astrology. Because the more that you know, the more that you can get those informations, the more helpful it is to help you narrow down your focus for this year. And I think, we talked about how this year is really all about working hard. And to work hard, you also need to make sure that you have a laser focus, right? So to understand, that's why I love these things so much, because it helps me focus on what's important. My theme this year that I've set myself is to create abundance through health, to have a healthy vessel. Like I said, it's mind, body, spirit. And from that place, creating my abundance. Because everything is pointing towards that for me. And I really think this is when, we can read as much information online. We can read as much generic stuff. But unless we really truly tap into our inner knowing, it's kind of like just another thing, So I really strongly recommend, if you're interested in numerology, if you're interested in anything woo-woo, read the generic stuff, research, and then meditate on it, journal on it, and see how it actually applies to you. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out through either Facebook, Instagram, or email me on mywomanlyway@gmail.com. I'm always more than happy to assist in that way, or we can geek out together. On that note, this is today's episode, and I thank you once again for listening, and happy 2024. I'll see you next time. Bye. I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Womanly Way. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast if you feel aligned to do so. Or check out our post-show discussions on my Instagram page @The Womanly Way. See you next time.